first of all, I really like this movie a lot. I was kind of impressed with how they went about this film. Um, this was good as a kind of double promotional thing for Deadpool, but also for the movie itself. It kind of reminded me of the Spice World, actually. Spice World is basically a huge promotion for the Spice Girls in the big album that probably more people know about, with the Wannabes and Say You'll Be There and Spice of Your Life and all those, the ones that you kind of know of the Spice Girls. This reminds me of it. It's a movie about the production, or a movie about the idea of a Deadpool movie. Thus, that was a movie about the idea of a Spice Girls movie. And Deadpool kind of gives. One of the things I love about Deadpool is because of the character and the way that it's been portrayed canonically. It gives producers a lot of freedom there. You're not tongue-tied to any sort of plot. You can kind of go with it the way you want to go with it, and that's true for any porn parody, really. That's true for any film. You can do whatever you want. Obviously, this is your production. Do what you want. But for Deadpool, there is this sense of freedom that you got, and they really utilize that too, because you got people that are able to have fun. Seth Gamble as Deadpool, he does I really enjoyed his portrayal of Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, which is what this is. This is mostly a combination. This is mostly they're using the film aesthetics of the Deadpool from the Deadpool films, but they're bringing in a lot of aspects that you get in the comics. Something I noticed about the Power Rangers parody is which, while they were servicing to the film that came out with damn it. This is the thing about being John Turbo is, you kind of come in with all these different strings of things that you can completely forget, and it completely fucks up your flow. Anyway, but the Power Rangers film that came out, Bryan Cranston. I was trying to think of the name. Fuck. I'm really bad with names. I really wish I was better with names because then it would mess up my flow. Anyway. But I really liked the freedom that I felt that this film really had, with not only its cast, but the cast felt everyone seemed to be having a lot of fun with this. And this is one of the things I really appreciate is that it didn't have to be unlike a lot of what I expect a lot of these actual films of being. Actually, this reminded me a lot of Star Wars, the Star Wars film. I'm wondering if this is kind of the way he goes about his parodies. Because with both parodies, I really like. I think Power Bangers is what I expected a lot of these movies to be, which is like these big blocks of digital sex scenes, which the aesthetics of what that film parody was just dressing the sex scenes, which this is. It's not those things. But because of the freedom and because of, I guess, this kind of goes out to the way that Axel Braun goes by his films. I really like him. I like the Star Wars parody, and I also like this Deadpool. And it'd be a joy to look at other kind of Axel Braun films because there's a bunch of them. With these sort of promotional kind of movies, when they're promotional, they're largely response films. You got this big IP that would come out like a Spider-Man, something from the MCU or something from the DC Extended Universe. And you have these parodies to kind of bank off it. It's a really good marketing play because, because the film itself, as far as what you do with it, clearly here, that's it can very much benefit off of the brand name. And considering this is Deadpool, I think this very much expands that brand name. Deadpool in so many ways. I think that if there's any sort of character that should be public domain, I think Deadpool should be. I believe in public domain, generally speaking. I think privatizing IPs. I know there's a lot of benefits to it, but it gets in the way of a lot of people being able to do a lot of art with a thing. Ultimately, this is a philosophy about like ownership and what is owned by people, what's not owned by people, and it's I do catch the irony of me saying it because I basically I get a lot of my ideas from these sort of media properties, so there is something in it for me to have that sort of public domain. But I mean, in general, like it's while there is a lot of benefits, something like a Deadpool, I think, is great for public domain. And in some way, because of the character, because he's a character can kind of be in all these different arenas, that being technically copyrighted, it sort of puts a damper on his ability to do things. So it's interesting because you watch stuff like this, like, wow, I really would like to see, if there was any sort of sequel to something, I would love to see a sequel to something like this. Because this is basically for the purposes of masturbation, I think that the scenes itself, as far as the sex, was put together very well. I think collectively there's 4 or 5 differing scenarios that play into the production. So, well, the plot is simply that Deadpool is in this Axel Braun production, and he's going through this film, and he's basically trying to have sex. And there's either like a lot of blockades going on, whether it's just him not being able to get into the scene, or he technically is in something, but it doesn't pay off in the way that I guess the scene was constructed to be. And you also got people from other comic book lores going in here and filling up that's the scenes, and the scenes for the most part play into each other, but they do play into each other. Whether we're recurring characters or we're talking about the actual plot of the film, they all serve the film in some capacity. I mean, ultimately, something I want to emphasize, it doesn't have to. Again, the purposes of it, and again, me saying that something like the sex scenes, well, the aesthetics are surrounding the sex scenes being kind of stage dressings for the sex scenes. Considering this is adult media for the purpose of masturbation, it doesn't have to be, but because it is, that's perfectly great. I mean, if you want to do it that way, I mean, seeing Deadpool have sex with these characters is great. Seeing Jennifer White as a Domino character is great. And whoever played the other Domino character, which played into there's a lot of fan service in this film. In that the sex scenes themselves is sort of fan service. You got 2 Dominoes having sex. You got Deadpool having sex with Domino because they're kind of synonymous. They're kind of I don't know if they're an official team. I've seen a lot of media where they're paired together. The comics and including just a lot of things. They kind of go hand in hand. I'm saying it because I'm not really sure why that started. I don't know why they're for some reason they're paired to each other. But so seeing Deadpool and seeing Domino having sex, that's something. Seeing Deadpool just talk about porn as a genre in some variants through his personality and stuff is good. Again, this is a really good. I'm not going to say it's subjective, meaning I enjoyed Seth Gamble's Deadpool portrayal. Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool in portrayal. So you got Deadpool with Domino. You got Romy Rain. I think that's how you pronounce your name. Romy Rain. With who plays you got Punisher and you got Elektra sex scenes with them. Hell, you got a lady Deadpool with a Wolverine. And then you got there's a whole Fluffer thing. So this is something I was kind of bringing up with Deadpool and him referencing a lot of the things that happens in the adult media, and Fluffer was a huge thing. Fluffer being the idea of there being someone who could so because we're talking about the plot being that this is a film about a Deadpool parody about Deadpool. Jesus, the production. It's the movie's about the production of a Deadpool movie, and you got Deadpool, and throughout, incidentally, we'll be talking about the production of porn, and so the idea of a fluffer, of course, in the this is sort of one of the things that's interesting about the idea of a fluffer, which is someone who kind of gets these performers excited for the scene. So whether that be, giving them oral sex or massaging, getting them sexually aroused for the purposes of doing a sex scene. During, and this is like during production. So a fluffer would come in and would be giving oral sex to the to performers in the movie. Where I hope I'm coming. I hope I'm trying to say accurately, or massaging, erotically, to get them sexually aroused for the scene. And so the movie kind of puts that into the movie, into the film. Jesus. So I really like that, and there's chock full of references to the media itself being adult entertainment and other media out there, including a lot you see in the MCU, a lot you see, and again, this is a combination of, while this is an aesthetic of the film, this is largely also an aesthetic of the comics itself. And so you have a lot of Deadpool comics that have a lot of crossover characters from other comic books, specifically around the X-Men, because Deadpool ultimately is an X-Men character. Although I think, of course, especially he's kind of transcended. So I think a lot of people, they definitely put Deadpool in that X-Men, but there's a lot. I think he's transcended where he's much more than an X-Men character. I think he's become somewhat of a mascot of the Marvel comics, and I think as far as his relations with that character, that with Disney, with the MCU. I suspect. I think there is plans for a third Deadpool movie, but also I because of there was this commercial promoting a film starring Ryan Reynolds. I think called I'm not going to go into it, but in promotion of it, because I don't remember the name. But the point is that Deadpool is used as a kind of mascot character, which I like the idea of him being like a mascot. Well, it makes sense that if that they won't expose him too much. I mean, if it does really well, like if they do this Deadpool, this third Deadpool installment, and it does really well, I imagine, even not doing it. If they do it and it does well, of course it probably will. The other ones, because of the whole coronavirus thing, it's like there's a lot of shit in it. So my brain is like, oh, wait, oh. So I'm kind of trying to bounce around, and all I'm trying to say is he's great as a mascot character for the MCU. As a response of this is a very R-rated character, and because we don't want to mess with that so much, keeping him as a mascot character until we decide, and again that could work in a lot of ways. If he becomes a popular mascot character for the MCU, this will give reasons for a lot of filmmakers to go and approach Disney with something that they can do. Also, Disney has a lot of properties. Things like Die Hard is now a part of Disney. There's a lot that can. There's a lot there. I mean, I think Disney had had a line of films for. I think of what's that logo that it's like a pyramid logo. I don't know the name of it, but it's for the Mighty Ducks. That was a part of that promotion, that production. I think they made R-rated films in that production too, so that they can bring that back, and then they can make R-rated films. So they would be owned by Disney, but and again 20th Century Fox's own. It's its own sector, so it's not like they wouldn't be able to anyway. But I don't know what Disney was going to do. But as far as them using as a mascot character, that's a really good one of many ways you can go about utilizing this kind of character, as well as John McClane, a lot of these other people before it's in its infancy. You know, you got coronavirus, so there's so much they can do with it that I'm trying to like leave leeway because there's so much and there's so much that's probably in place or going in place that just hasn't been produced or released. So I don't want to go too far into it. But yeah, as far as you know, it's like there's a lot I can say. Well, this is a good service film to. I think anyone who comes across, whether we're talking about the production aspects of the film or we're talking about the section itself, I think this is an enjoyable package altogether. There's a looseness to the dialogue because of the nature of Deadpool. I imagine there was a lot of ad-lib in this film, as well as pretty much anything that was kind of in, well, I considering it was like Star Wars, sure it was scripts, but for something like a Deadpool, I imagine, especially with Seth Gamble's scenes, he's largely throughout the scene. Like, most of the film is like Deadpool. You have sex scenes and stuff that don't necessarily involve him, but he's always kind of around, right? Because he's kind of with he's with the production, so himself. He's in a way he's kind of a producer of the movie. With it being such a fourth wall kind of thing, it's like I want to make sure that you're understanding that it's a movie about production. So I'm saying things like production that this is a movie about him being in the production. I want to make sure that you understand, that I understand, so I'm not losing myself. But essentially, as we're going through the film, you got Deadpool trying to get laid. You know, he's trying to get some nucky, and he manages to get 2 scenes. One with Domino, which was a incomplete sex scene. He orgasmed before the scene was completed. Also, it seems like an offshoot thing. I think he was just like at a bar, and then Domino just showed up and gave him oral sex, and then he orgasmed, and then he wasn't able to get through the scene. And then the last one was, of course, they were bringing up the fluffer thing, and it was like a 4-some. It was like Lady Deadpool, and then Cable, and then a fluffer. And so they kind of had an orgy, and I think the film just kind of ends after the orgasm. And yeah, it was really good. I try not to say things like the movie is good, the movie's bad. It's not that the movie's good or bad. It's not like any movie's good and bad. That's just a subjective thing. I enjoyed the film. I hate language. Common clay language is just so hard to get away from, because it's like it's not even that you learned English. You learn American. You learn American English or American dialect, so it's hard to get away from, because that's not what you want to say. You actually want to say things like, you watch a movie that you like. You might say that something's good or bad, but you like the movie, so just say that you like it. Because I like the movie. I can tell based on how the film was produced that I can tell that a lot of people might like this because of and thus a good film, but I just want to be upfront, like, I like the movie. I like everything I watch, most, you know. So I'm not really, I don't get snobbish with films. One, because I noticed that here's, all right, so just to get into myself as I go through this sort of thing, so you understand me. I have no problem with people being snobbish when it comes to film critique. This is a statement about myself. So, you know, I've watched a lot of kind of negative reviews, or, you know, reviews about a movie, and that mostly they were negative, you know, with a lot of these film critics, especially like online, where a lot of it is like they're reviewing movies that they specifically don't like. So that's the way that they can. There's a lot of material there. If they don't like it, there's a lot of things that can go with it. I imagine that's the purpose of it. And but I found that, like, when I'm watching this stuff, and I watch a lot of movies, I found that, like, I like all the movies I watch. I rarely have any sort of like, I might even if I agree with those critiques or whatever, or don't, I generally like everything I watch. So it's I want to be honest with myself. I don't want to come on to any sort of platform talking about, like, well, you know, this movie sucks and here's why it sucks. because I'm not. I generally like the things I watch. I can sit there and talk about and critique something without saying that it's bad or good, because I generally enjoy everything I watch. I think because I'm very simple as far as I'm capable of going into a film and all that, or I'm capable of, because that's not, and this is not about me being good or bad and what I do, but rather when I go into something, I generally enjoy things I watch because I'm an easy ear. I'm very sensitive to noise and visual. I have a lot of visual sensitivity and a lot of auditory sensitivity, and so I enjoy watching trailers as if they're the movie itself. I can rewatch a trailer like it's the movie, and pretty much every movie that people will sit there and go like, "Oh, we really hate this movie." I really like, and it's not like I can sit there and go and talk about why I think it's good or something. It's not that. It's just I enjoy everything I watch. I just can't help it. I just enjoy watching media, and maybe because I'm just kind of simple in terms of what's going to appeal to me, you know. And so when I go and I do this stuff, I want to best represent that. I don't want to go into something and be really snobbish about it, because it's just not the way I feel about something. So, in this, again, this is not critique toward those people. That's what they do, and that's good, because that's good. It's there's a lot you can work with. I mean, evil and good, not evil and good, but like cruelty and kindness are mutually fruitful. There's a lot you can get from being cruel or being kind. There's a lot you can get from it. Objectively speaking, because those things vary. That's why they can be mutual. Mutual is that they can work. You know what I mean? Oh, maybe you do. I don't know. Anyway, Deadpool. I really liked it. Obviously, as I emphasized. And I hopefully this talking about it emphasizes specifics about this particular project, and thus maybe even reflects a lot of Axel Braun films. If there aren't any more installments of these sort of retrospectives, that this is in a way my admiration for Axel Braun films or other parodies that I've seen, including those behind the Power Bangers. I like that there's this sense of lax in the film in terms of the dialogue, because it's very fitting for something like Deadpool, as this is Seth Gamble. If I'm correct, well, if my assumptions, or rather my not assumption, but just like what I suspect. Well, I based on the dialogue, it seems like it could be just kind of on the spot. That this, in a way, and again, this is rings true when we look at Seth Gamble's other projects like the Star Wars Triple X parody. That this is kind of a reflection of that this person as a performer. And there's a kind of natural maybe that's a good word for natural. What I was saying is that whatever he brings to a project, that he comes from a natural place, that he can just kind of go there. He can just be naturally comedic. He's comedic in general somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I should watch more interviews with Seth Gamble or whatever. But as a performer, I liked his performance. And as far as the other performers, they kind of serve, whether being a part of a sex scene, again, serving to that fan service of, I want to see these people get it on. So that was there for that. And that was good. Well, again, that was something I liked. As far as the producers, this was nice for them, if we can, I assume that when we're looking at Deadpool and we switch the camera around, we see the production filming Deadpool. That was the production, and this is nice to expose that, to get into what we're talking about, the script writers and just those people involved. That seems like a cool thing to be able to switch the camera on yourselves. I mean, this is again expanding to the idea of Deadpool being a great mascot for a lot of different kind of media, which is why I really like the idea of him being a public domain character. This is what I was trying to emphasize, that he's such a great, he'd be such a very serviceable foundational character when it comes to being a kind of mascot for media production. I mean, you can see him in so many different things. And he can be kind of a figure that can be both great for different kind of audiences. And I think this definitely serves it because you know, you got like Seth Gamble doing an impression that that very much I hear Ryan Reynolds when he does his portrayal. And so it kind of emphasizes even further, like, wow, this is a kind of a universal character here, and that he is very much. I definitely buy into it being Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds Deadpool. Yeah, so I really like this production. I really appreciate how much fun that Axel Braun has in this film, and that not only is this like a film that you can watch, generally speaking, but also a film that you can enjoy sexually. I really like the sex scenes themselves; they're really good. Those also had a bit of production to those. I think the one that really sticks out to me is the I think the well, as far as production, background production, I can get into what was a standout, what maybe something I favor the most. I liked the Wolverine and Lady Deadpool kind of aesthetic, kind of the dream state background. I really like that with the color differentials, and also, you know, the idea of Lady Deadpool and Wolverine. That's kind of pretty cool. As far as like something that I favored of the sex scenes, I think that the bar scene between Deadpool and Domino, I think Seth Gamble's kind of rambling through the sex scene was fun to watch, and I can the actor can kind of have fun. There's something about using dirty talk when you're having sex with her, you're masturbating, or you're having sexual relations. There's something about using your language and talking out loud and using very sharp language. That's why a lot of using cock and using dick and using really sharp and very speedy words, but like in a really sharp tone. It can be really arousing, I think, because the brain kind of mimics, and it's like a rhythmic sort of thing. So I don't know, for something like that, it kind of gets the brain going. So him using that sort of for himself, like I imagine that he enjoyed himself a lot more talking like that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, a lot of people enjoy being able to masturbate while you're by yourself. It can be very fun because you kind of have a lot of freedom there, and less to worry about. You don't have to worry about anyone downstairs or upstairs, and you can just kind of have fun and make a bunch of fucking crazy noise. And I think that's where the whole gooning thing came in, is the whole idea of you being able to lose yourself while masturbating. Sort of kind of intrapersonal. That's the thing. Sort of way of there's a whole sexual psychology to it. But anyway, I enjoyed his kind of banter. Actually, his banter was like the best thing. I like his banter. That's actually kind of interesting. I'm not really. I wonder how people feel. Well, it's Deadpool, so I imagine he would just kind of banter through his sex, and so he would just kind of banter and just say whatever the hell is. In that moment, that's fun. And considering Deadpool even makes it even more better. And I generally like Banter is mixed with people. Some people really like banter and sex scenes, like uh, uh, Wesley Pipes is pretty known for his babble during sex. Again, I think he does it because of the reason I emphasize that triggers a kind of a pleasure sensor thing. Like it triggers you sexually even more by talking, using your language, and letting yourself loose. It kind of gives you this idea that you're loose with your language, so you can just say what you want in that moment. Dirty talk. There's a whole reason why people use dirty talk, and I think people like Wesley Pipes, so people who generally like to use a lot of banter, whether we're talking about people who like to, and even like I think his name Manuel Farah, he uses a lot of sweet nothings in people's ears when he. I love his sex scenes when he's having sex and he's kind of people in people's ears. You know, he's very he likes to sing sweet nothings in people's ears. He's using the same sort of idea, but just directly to his people he's having sex with. So that's always a good sex there. And again, because we're talking about sex, that would be relevant. I don't know if Seth Gamble outside of these films is also like that. I don't recall him doing any sort of bantering when he was in. Well, he might have. I don't know. Maybe he did. I'm not sure. Anyway, I myself don't want to banter too much. So let's go ahead and end this segment. John Turbo Black Closet Media, and thank you.